Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hello.
What's up, dude? How's it going?
Oh, great. Best day of my life. The sun is going down. I've been up since 7 a.m. Been in meetings all day for stuff that can't talk about on the show, but I know you know what I'm talking about. So
I thought you were just a DJ. I didn't know DJs did anything other than sleep and just
what I've come to learn is the DJs that make moolah are the ones that wake up early in the morning and get shit done. You have responsibilities. Have you ever heard of those?
No, actually I
Don't get any.
I don't have any. I wake up at 5, go to work, chill. It's great.
Yeah, that sounds great. I wish I could do that. Anyway, once again, I am Fusemania from Cincinnati, Ohio, and this is
Drew Pierce from Long Beach, California.
And together we are the Drew and Fuse Show. We're back. We recorded some episodes. We had some episodes in the bank. Took a little trip over to Ireland recently for some work stuff, kinda.
We'll just say the
stuff.
Best moment from the trip.
Oh man! So I was in this club in Dublin. Club. This one was more of a club than some of the other pubs, but best moment is it was 1:30 a.m. on a Wednesday in this club, and it was pretty jumping. The DJ sucked balls though, sucked balls. Was just hard dropping songs and then letting them play the entire way through. But I will say, he was selecting some bangers. This is no joke, not even a lie. He hard drops the Cranberries Zombie. And I am like, what the fuck? And they're from Ireland. They're from Ireland. But even the crowd at first was kind of like, what the fuck? But once the chorus got there, they were all in your head, the whole place, which was kind of funny. So that was a pretty cool moment. I enjoyed it.
I like it. My first love for Cranberries came when I was in Ireland and I was in a pub. It was a friend of a friend's. Their family owned that pub, so we were there actually celebrating someone's uncle. Anyways, the band in the back played Cranberries' greatest hits, and I was like, I get it. All of a sudden, it just clicked. I was like, oh, they aren't terrible. And so yeah. I got some love for some Cranberries. I ain't mad at it.
It was a good time. We got a great guest today on, and I don't want to take up too much time. So before we bring him on, real quick, if you haven't signed up for direct music service yet, you can use the promo code Drew and Fuse Show. It'll get you 30% off your first month of activation. If you're looking for a spot for new edits, we have tons of exclusive editors on there. So use that code Drew and Fuse Show. Also, in the links below and the YouTube, there will be a spot for the photo booth supply. If you're in the market for a photo booth, it's an affiliate link. It will help the show out, and it won't do anything for you except for Drew will personally send you a Drew and Fuse Show t-shirt. Also, we are sponsored by Club Cannon. If you are looking for a way to enhance your events, enhance the nightclub or a bar you work at, make sure you check out Club Cannon, clubcannon.com. Tell them Drew and Fuse sent you. What else we got? Oh, yeah. Not sponsored by Liquid Death. Once again, still not sponsored by these guys, but it's okay. We really like the product and we put them on. We know that if it wasn't for us and our podcast, nobody would know what this shit is. So
that's why I'm drinking it Truly, because we're not sponsored. I didn't update it.
So there's the sound. And all right, real quick, today's guest. It's a big deal. He is the first guest we've ever had on from the future. That's right. He's from the future. He's 14 hours ahead my time. He's 17 hours ahead of Drew. He is from the future. Maybe we can ask him for some gambling bets on stuff that's happening, and we can go place those bets. He's from Sydney, Australia. He's a producer, a remixer, editor, And I just got to be honest. If you don't have any of his music in your collection, you're living under a rock. This guy's stuff is great. So please help us welcome Zillionaire. Hey,
Yo, hey,
Oh,
what's up, boys? What's up?
how you doing?
what's up? Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
I'm
being
good.
on.
That's all right. Living in the future, as you said right now.
Yes, we appreciate you. Taking the time to jump on early with us. We know it's early there. What time is it there?
Yeah, it's only 10 a.m. I'm not great in the mornings, but we'll see how we go. I've got my Red Bull.
Perfect. So it's 10
Let's see.
a.m. 14 hours ahead. We're recording this at night. Here for me, it's 8 p.m. And for Drew, it is, what time is it?
5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 math. I can't math today.
Yeah, we got everybody all around the world.
That's right.
I've never been to Australia. It is definitely on the bucket list. I need to make it over there.
You got to come. You got to come.
What part are you in? It's Sydney?
I'm in Sydney. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I haven't been to many places in the world, but I'm pretty happy, pretty blessed to be where I am. I'm loving it.
You just did some traveling yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I went on a short break, but I didn't. It was not work. It was holiday. It was relax mode because I currently work like every day. Well, I DJ every day. Sorry, so I'm in great need of a break. So I took my opportunity, and I went over to the UK and went to Paris, and it was like amazing. Really
Awesome.
happy
Is that
with
your
that.
first time?
Yeah, first
Was that-
time. I've only ever been to like local places around like New Zealand and like all the close places to Australia. So jumping on that 24-hour flight was pretty overwhelming, but it was you got to do it. I guess you got to do it.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
long flight. I've done a
Yeah.
couple of those. It's you're happy to
it's
get
not
off
easy.
the plane. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Do they let you walk around? Is it like a double decker? Is there like a lounge, or how does that work? I've never been on a plane that long.
Yeah, so we were walking around, but we were kind of like in economy, so we were down with all the dregs of society. It wasn't really like luxurious or anything. I think there was like an upstairs, but I didn't really ever go. I didn't want to get like detained for doing something wrong, so I just kind of stuck around my area and just tried to suck it up and just like watch podcasts or listen to podcasts and watch movies and just do other good stuff that you do on a flight.
Yeah,
That's
awesome. The last long trip I did, I watched Game of Thrones. I think I caught up on like 4 seasons, and I just was like just banging them out.
Yeah, that's perfect for stuff that like long binge worthy TV shows. But yeah, I mean, I think by the end of it, I started to get motion sickness, so I just had to pop on the podcasts and just like cruise through it.
So you're DJing 6-7 nights a week right now?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good thing going where I've locked down a few good residencies that fill up my week and just kind of keep me busy every day of the week, because I found that I used to DJ a lot more, obviously on your like towards the end of the week, your Friday to Sunday, and I used to like load up maybe 2 or 3 gigs every single one of those nights, and it takes a lot out of you. Like although you are like jumping around to different spots and getting a good feel of like different clubs and being able to like play different stuff, it's just at the end of the night you just kind of stop and you just exhausted from like all that stuff. So I was able to lock down a good thing with the club that that there's a few places that do pretty good trade during the week, like backpacker uni bars. So got a few nights on there, and then another place in Bondi Beach, which is a really nice bar, different vibe, a lot more chill, but still cool. I like it a lot.
A lot of the stuff that you make, is it geared towards these clubs and bars that you play at, or you just kind of like playing, making that for your own vibe?
Yeah, no, I think a big part of it was I was starting to find holes in my set that needed to be filled, and when I would go look for music, which is one of the biggest parts of the job, as you guys probably know, like I spend basically all my free time looking for new stuff and like wanting to find cool stuff to play, but I would find there would be like a lack of something. There would be like a hole in my set, or like not a very good remix of something. So I would just start making the mashups, like, or I'd hear a good instrumental and I'd be like, oh, that's like, that would lift up a commercial a cappella to like its full potential and make it so much better. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of that housey, like upbeat energetic stuff. But then I've also started making like new disco, kind of disco house mashups as well to fill in that kind of bar set, like that more Purple Disco Machine, I guess, like that disco house kind of stuff. And that's really helpful, really helps my sets.
Oh, I was gonna say I love everything you're making right now.
Yeah.
I've been going through it all, and I'm playing at a bar, or it's kind of a lounge like this, and it's exactly what it is. It's like commercial enough to where people recognize it, but funky and just different to just shake people out of their normal senses and just create the vibe. Really, you're riding the vibe with the music, and the acapella kind of keeps them in tune of, oh, I know this.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the
it.
thing as well. Like, and I think where it does help is I was getting a lot of like, I was doing these bar gigs and I was trying to keep it chill and relaxed and not super commercial. And then I get like requests sometimes, and it's like, there's not really a dance floor, but like, how can I remedy that? Bringing in some of the stuff that, can you play some Rihanna? And it's like, well, I got maybe this cool, more chill Rihanna, like just using those vocals and stuff. So that was really a catalyst for it all as well, I think.
In terms of your gigs that you're playing right now, you already said, one's more chill vibe. Is the others, are you at like a big club, or is it a place that is more of a party bar, or what's that vibe?
I would say Sydney's a difficult place when it comes to nightlife. There's been Sydney's been through a lot. They've been through the lockout laws, like they've been through obviously COVID, and everything's been affected that way. So a lot of places have like closed down and are really struggling, and kind of like haven't really been able to make it through all that. So we have a very select amount of places that reliable and like good for that. So you've got obviously like your bigger, huge nightclubs like at the Marquee or whatever it is, and then you had a few more niche like underground clubs where it was like Chinese Laundry, really good headliners, like international headliners would come over. And then you do have a lot of these party bars, which is, to answer your question, the main place where I'm at. I'd say it's about mid-size. It's a good size, but it goes off like during the week. The Wednesday nights is like the uni night. A lot of tourists, a lot of uni students, a lot of just everybody who wants to party. And then they got a few themes coming in every week, like Mechanical Bull and all this stuff. So it's like, it just keeps it fresh, and it's just those party vibes. So yeah, it is a big difference to the chill bar gigs, but it's still not like your headliner clubs, like your international kind of like clubs.
Totally. Do you play a lot of much hip hop at all?
So funny you should say that. I prefer playing hip hop. I'm actually a hip hop DJ. I play a lot of hip hop. The Zillionaire stuff was something extra because, I guess, to get into it a little bit, when I first started DJing, I was playing like, this was back in 2008. So it was like your Afrojack, your EDM, like your kind of like fidget main room stuff. That's where I started. That's where I got into it. And then I was doing that for a couple of years. And then I didn't even know how it happened, but I just kind of transitioned into playing hip hop music a lot. And then I became known for that kind of reliable hip hop DJ. And it's what I preferred to play, and it's what I always loved playing. And still even now, like I'm a very reliable, consistent hip hop DJ. But to where the house stuff kind of ties into it is, I would start to get more of these housey gigs, and obviously you can't play hip hop, so I'm going to play a bit more house music. And then I would find there was like a hole in the sets for the house music that I wanted to play, so I would kind of just start making it. And then now it all kind of ties together in this party bar where I play a couple hours of hip hop and I play a couple hours of house, and then I kind of all tie it together. I'm pretty much open genre, like I guess like you guys probably are a little bit like that too. I mean, you got to do that to stay kind of like on the pulse, because the charts these days are like, it's house, hip hop, house, Latin, all this kind of stuff. So
what trends heavy on the hip hop over there? I'm guessing a lot of Drake. It's just kind of, do you have Spotify charts that you're going off of, or what are you referencing to for your hip hop?
It is a lot of Drake. It is a lot of charts, but there was a big boom in that I guess you call it like UK drill, or that Pop Smoke kind of vibe. A lot of people were like on the, like, I didn't even know who Pop Smoke was before I started getting the requests. Like I wasn't really into that kind of music, and then I started getting like Dior, play Dior like all the time, and then it was just popping off. And then I was like, okay, I got to look into this guy, get a lot more. And yeah, now he's just like part of the set. That UK drill, or I think that's what that genre is.
Well, Pop Smoke's passed away. I think that's what kind of blew him up. That's true. I think that's when I started getting all the Pop Smoke requests. What's that new song that we just referenced recently, Fuse? It's
Central C, Doja.
Yeah, Central C.
He's like English rapper, or
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
an interesting track.
Would that be big, or is that just is that garbage like Vanilla Ice? Is that might as well be Vanilla Ice over there? Or what?
I mean, I've been getting the requests are coming in for that, and I've been playing it, and I do like that. There's I do like, the only reason I like that song is because it obviously has that well-known sample of Eve and Gwen Stefani, so it is that good. It's that good transition track from that Let Me Blow Your Mind into wanting to get into the more trappy stuff. That's the only reason. Like I probably wouldn't play it unless I got requested for it. There's a lot of tracks like that where I'm not really down to play them unless I get the request, because then I know that it's like,
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's not worth sometimes risking it just
no,
to
I don't like
play.
it enough to be able to
Yeah.
throw it out there and be like, yeah,
I feel
I can stand behind this. Like, there's better stuff and there's stuff that I want to play that I can be like, yeah, I want to hear this. So everyone else has to. Yeah.
We do our little rapid fire segment, and if you're cool with it, we're gonna move into it real quick.
Yeah.
We're just gonna ask you a bunch of questions, but first we got this this really cool segment video that we'll play. It's the best video ever, produced by Drew Pierce. Here we go.
This is Arnold here, the movie star of Twins and Kindergarten Cop. Drew and Fuse are going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to answer them immediately. Don't bullshit them. Answer the questions. Hurry! I'm after the chopper. It's now time for rapid fire.
All right. As you can see, that was definitely a high budget video.
Yeah.
So do you play any instruments or anything that kind of got you into producing?
I don't. I used to play trumpet. I used to play bass guitar. I used to play piano. Like, growing up, being an idiot, I just stopped, and now I don't play anything, and I'm basically using the decks as my instrument to kind of disappoint my parents. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
But at least having that background is money, because then you can reference it. You at least understand timing. I think that's half of the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Huge help. Think with the DJing and just like producing. Obviously, like, I can't play full songs out when I'm like trying to play, but I've got the sound in my mind, and I know how to like kind of feel it out and kind of get to where I want to go with having that background. So yeah, it's definitely helped.
Are you on Serato, or do you use Record Box, or what do you play on?
No, I don't use Serato. I'm a USB DJ only. Record Box. I do find Record Box a huge help, because I remember back in the days when you used to just chuck all the music on the USB, and it would just like, it wouldn't even be analyzed. It wouldn't show up with like the waveforms or anything, and the BPM would probably jump around a little bit as well. Like, that's the crazy days. But no, definitely happy to keep using Record Box.
I was just gonna ask, do most of the venues have Serato or do have CDJs and 900?
Yeah. So the club standard here is the CDJs and the 900. I think I've only been to like a very, very small handful that still, unfortunately, have like 1000s where I've had to like burn CDs. If you, obviously easier if you have a laptop, but no, generally they're all pretty good. They got the club standards.
That's cool. I was just gonna say, I'm kind of jealous of all the guys that are starting that play more open format, that are moving to USBs. It's got to feel so freeing to show up only what you have on the stick, and just kind of playing it, freeing you from the laptop in front of you. And I unfortunately still got to play on a laptop. Sometimes it drives me nuts.
I thought that was the way everyone was going, because I've always, when I started on CDs, and I'd have a huge CD wallet, and then I just moved into USBs, and I've never actually DJed on a laptop. Might be strange, but I did try it a few times, and I started to get used to it. But then I found that I would start to rely on my eyes more than my ears, and I really like mixing with my ears and being able to hear it and making my transition smooth that way. So I didn't want to lose that kind of capability by using a laptop. That's kind of why I've stuck to the USBs.
No, that makes sense. I think a lot of it here has to do with a lot of the bars and clubs here. I mean, I'm still on turntables, so and I know a lot of places out by Drew are the same way. And, Serato just kind of happened and every place had turntables and it kind of just stuck. I mean, there are the bigger clubs, most of the bigger clubs that are bringing in, that might be bringing in guest DJs or stuff like that. They usually have CDJs and a mixer. But yeah, unfortunately, where I'm playing, I'm either on turntables or a small controller.
I'm pretty aware that Serato is a very heavy US thing. And then across the country, like you guys, UK, it's pretty much record box. A lot of people just roll with this USB.
I think so. I have noticed it's about a 50-50 split here with the Serato and USBs. Although I haven't really been to every single club and seen every DJ play, but most of what I see in the changeover or what I see when I'm out is about 50-50 split. I've never seen the appeal in taking like a couple $1,000 laptop out and letting that just be at the mercy of the crowd. I mean, I always used to, I think my USBs now are about that big because I always used to get the bigger ones and I always used to have people coming up and pretending to be like, oh, I'm going to like pull it out, or someone bumping it and like bending it over. And I'm just like that $50 to me is like, yeah, I don't want to have to keep spending that money. So
one time DJing, everyone was kind of dancing and going crazy, and I don't know how it happened, but I was up on this kind of pedestal and someone pushed this guy and he grabbed it and his arm wrapped around the USB, and I was holding the laptop and I just watched it fly into the middle of this pit and I'm going, no, and just get it stomped. I still have it. It's like completely the screen's completely cracked, and yeah, it was I definitely cried. It was it was tough, but I wish I could do the USBs. It would probably make me a better DJ because I wouldn't have to overthink like having so much fucking music. You just put on what you're like, okay, this is gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, I do have that problem where I overthink and I probably pack on like way more stuff than I need, and there's probably stuff that I never play. I don't know, it's just always come natural to me. I've always thought that the laptops is better for that, having that storage space and that variety and being able to search like real quick, but USBs just work for me. I've still been able to be as quick as some of the guys on laptops. Like if I know what I'm doing and I like know the kind of like I planned out my next couple of songs, you can kind of use the search feature on the CDJ pretty quickly and stuff like that. And
especially those new 3000s are super nice too.
They're crazy. I've only used one once, and even that was like pretty overwhelming. I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like, I think it's getting a little bit crazy. The screen is huge. Like, you could probably chuck a movie on that bad boy.
Totally. Do you have a favorite remixer or producer that you personally like? And it doesn't have to be DJ world. It can be music in a whole.
I think, I mean, you guys probably know him. I think Scooter has got some really dope stuff. I find really helpful for like that really commercial kind of crowd. A lot of the hip hop and pop mashups I've found myself using a lot. The Danny Diggs as well. I think he's got some really good stuff. On the house front, I think there's a guy called Joe Reese from the UK. He's got a lot of good edits and a lot of good kind of transitions as well, like transition edits, which are a very big staple of my set, I would say.
Awesome.
And
look him up.
What is your go-to DAW that you produce with?
Ableton. It's just the one that I've started on, and I've never really tried any of the other ones. I think I tried Fruity Loops like ages ago, but I just couldn't comprehend the work format of it.
Right.
And yeah, it's just been the easiest to use and the most user friendly, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, whatever anybody gets started on, I think you just stick with it. It's they're all similar in their own ways. You know how to get what you need done on it. It's all the
exactly
same.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any favorite plugins that you use with Ableton?
I mean, the Serum plugin is probably like my bread and butter. I just recently got a new one that I kind of haven't had heaps of time to play around with. I got it actually just before I jumped on the flight to the UK, hopefully wanting to mess around with it. But I found I didn't even touch my laptop. I was too kind of like constricted to my seat, and it just wasn't comfortable. So it's called The Instrument. I saw it come up on Instagram ad, and it was like looking like it made workflow a lot easier, kind of like laying stuff out like that. But so I'm looking forward to kind of getting into that. But yeah, I'd say like the two biggest ones that I use would be Serum and probably Silent or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Do you just personally, I'm curious, do you use like Splice at all? The website Splice?
Yeah. I did use Splice. I don't use it as much anymore. I find because most of my stuff is more just from what I already have, kind of thing. Like I already have a huge library. I mean, talk about getting music all the time, getting samples and stuff like that really just takes up a big part of my music making time. So I want to kind of try and like limit that by just using what I have, or trying to like restrict myself on how much time I spend looking on the web for that kind of stuff, and just kind of like keep it local.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself starting with like almost like your own kind of template now too when you start
I
a
do.
project?
Yeah, I have a couple of templates that I use quite often, and just go off of that. Stuff that's like been pretty successful or pretty like good, whether it's had good reception or like whether I've used it a lot. Because I find that a lot of people, a lot of DJs, I would say, like just go in and like grab the remix or the track, and they don't really put the time into giving feedback. So I find I have to trust myself a lot in the feedback, and the crowds that I play to as a lot of the feedback from what works and what doesn't work. Because you won't always have reliable DJs telling you what's good and what's bad, which is frustrating. But I guess maybe it's like who I surround myself with, or who
Well,
I'm
there's a
getting
lot
the
more bad
feedback.
DJs out there than good ones, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
100%. There is a lot. Yeah.
And that, that's kind of the point of the show, is to, help spread information. And, if guys truly want to, help level up their DJ career, this is a spot they can come and listen and hear what people are doing. And yeah. So with that being said, do you have like we always like to ask this, like a big bragging moment or something like that is a big memorable moment in the DJ booth, or just something that was a big moment for your DJ career?
I think Usain Bolt came through one time into the club at the Ivy, which is
Wow.
another big kind of club. He was
Yeah.
there. I think it was just after he had competed as well, so everybody was just like that. And obviously, when someone like that comes into the club, they come straight to the booth just to kind of chill and stuff, and that was pretty great. I didn't. Something that happens with me a lot is when I see famous people, or like people like that, I see how much they get crowded and how much people harass them, that I usually want to take a step back, and I don't want to be that guy to be like trying to
Totally.
get in their face. And I don't know, maybe they enjoy the attention, maybe they don't, but I just don't like to be that guy, because I'm thinking like how frustrating that would be to have everybody in your face. But there's been Rob Whitaker, the Aussie UFC guy, came through midweek in this party bar, and I didn't actually even know who he was at the time, and someone that I was with was like, yo, that's like the UFC champ, and was pointing him out and stuff. And he kind of noticed, and he was kind of looking at us going like, yeah, like don't tell anyone that I'm here, like I don't announce it or anything, like I don't want people knowing that I'm like partying during the week and stuff. And so that was, I mean, cat's out of the bag now, but this was a few years back, so I don't think it really matters. Maybe he was like in training at the time, he didn't want to be found out. But there was actually a really funny moment one time with Flume. So obviously, like, big Aussie artist comes through and is meant to play like a gig in Manly, like on the Northern Beaches, kind of like it's not near the city CBD, but it's kind of like your big area for like clubs and bars and stuff like that. And Flume came through, and I was playing just before him, opening kind of for him, and the club is like rammed. And I don't know how, somebody kind of like told me, oh, it's his birthday today, like make sure you say happy birthday. And he kind of like comes through, he like gets through the crowd somehow, like it's just going nuts, because this kind of like thing was a last minute kind of just Flume's going to show up, and everybody packed the club, and he comes to jump on, and I'm like, hey bro, happy birthday, like have a good one. And he was basically just like, whatever. And I was just like, all right, sorry for caring, man. Like I don't know, maybe that's I don't really know the guy, but maybe he's just over it. Maybe he's just sick of people being fake. But it's kind of like a memorable interaction, I guess.
That's the worst. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I get it. We all kind of get it, because we've all been there in days where you don't want to be there. But
Yeah.
it still sucks when you have that run-in with somebody like that,
Yeah.
We just ran into coming back from Ireland. We ran into the girl that's like blowing up on social media, and her music, her name's Jax, Jax. She does that like lingerie, the Victoria's Secret song or something like that. It's like big on TikTok. But she was
I've never even heard of the song.
super nice. Super nice. And
that's cool.
It's
that's
like,
good.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that kind of makes me want to play her music, because she was so cool.
Yeah.
Like I was in the Delta Lounge, and Danny, the guy I was with, was like, hey, like, oh, I'm a fan. I really enjoy you. You have a great voice. She was like, oh my God, thank you. It's still really cool to like have people come up to me and say that just in random spaces. And then she was like, how you guys doing? Where are you traveling? Like, just really nice. So
yeah, that's dope. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think since since that interaction with Flume, he's definitely left a bad taste in my mouth. So now anytime
Oh.
somebody requests, I'm like, you know, he's not really that cool. Like, I can play it if you want, but like, he's not really like, no, much love to Flume. I think he had a rough time starting out. So maybe he's like more kind of like guarded in who he lets through, but I think he's probably a decent bloke. I haven't met him properly, but
Do you wonder if it just wasn't his birthday and he was like, thanks?
that's possible,
you know,
you know.
like the guy was fucking with you?
I didn't actually look into. Yeah, it could have been. I didn't actually look into it, but I kind of been scared to look into it, because if it wasn't, then it is my fault, and I don't really want to face that reality. I'd rather just put it on him and think he's a dick. So.
That would be my first guess, though, is that the other guy who told you it was more of the
possibly.
wrong,
I think it was. I think it might have been. I think it was someone that actually knew him though. So that was the thing, because he had some people that were like from the area. But yeah, no, he's a good bloke. I think I'm probably just reading too much into it.
What would you say your biggest song that you've like put out, or remix that you put out? Well, one of the biggest responses, or a couple different ones.
Cool. Yeah, this is cool. I had so I actually have, as I was saying before, like I do hip hop, I do house. I have a few different aliases that I produce under. Obviously, Zillionaire being probably the most popular and the one that has the most support behind it. But I do my first one, and the thing I started out on, was Dollar Bear, and it's like trap, future bass, kind of more hip hoppy stuff. And I had some cool breakthroughs with some of the remixes and songs on there. So I had the Chainsmokers play one of my remixes on their podcast, which was really awesome. That was a big moment. I did like a Post Malone remix a couple of years back that I just chucked it up on YouTube, because I think SoundCloud was having a problem, like the copyright stuff. So I didn't even bother putting it on SoundCloud, but I put it on YouTube, and it had a massive kind of like moment where just it had all these views funneling in. And then I actually had a dude hit me up. I can't remember his name, which is really bad, but no, he made that song with Tiesto and Post Malone. I can't remember his name.
Congratulations.
No, it was the Jackie Chan one.
Jackie Chan.
Oh yeah.
And he hit me up. So before he had made that song, he was playing some shows, and he's like, "Bro, I need this remix. You got to send it to me." And I sent it to him, and then he played it out, and he actually had a video of him playing it at this huge show, and the whole crowd had like their phones up with their lights on and stuff, and we're like just going along with it. And I was just like, that moment, like I've saved the video, and I'm just like, that was probably one of the biggest moments where I've gotten like very nice, very good recognition from one of my remixes.
That's dope. Well, you got to send that over. Check that one out.
Yeah, definitely.
We always like to ask this question, which is, if we came to visit, we were in Sydney, where would you take us to eat that is something that you could only get in Sydney?
Good question. I mean, Sydney's a pretty multicultural place, which is one of its great things about it. But it's really hard to find something like that's really Australian, or kind of like has that Australian kind of seal of approval. There's a few places that are like really, really nice, Japanese fusion, or like some Mexican places. I mean, it's really tough. Like, Australia's got things from everywhere, all over the world, like influences. So it's really hard to find. But if I had to, I'd probably take you down to like maybe Manly Beach and get like a meat pie or something, and like just go and eat it on the beach in the daytime, watch some of the surfers, or watch the people on the beach and stuff like that. I think that's a really good thing.
This is the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Do you play down there? Is that like,
yeah,
do you play down on that beach?
Yeah, Manly. I grew up on the northern beaches, which is like part of Manly area. So you got Manly, and then all the beaches that kind of stretch down along the coast, and that's where I grew up. So I kind of had a lot of my first gigs and getting into it in Manly. It's not like a huge club scene. There's more like kind of bars and stuff. But I've had my time where I've rolled through there, and then I don't really do it currently. I don't really play there, but I've had my time there, and obviously like COVID and everything kind of like hit it a little bit and made it like really tough for people to like run businesses there. So it's not as like booming as it used to be, but it's definitely still a cool place to go. Yeah, I would say.
COVID hit everything, it's the same here, same out by Drew. I mean, things that once aren't, the same, and things that, weren't there, there's new places, and it's just, it's wild, how
Yeah,
it was
it
like
really
everything.
rocked the nightlife. Really
Yeah.
kind of like shook everything up, and like kind of like made the stronger businesses kind of have to like rise to the surface and kind of like get through it all. And unfortunately lost some really good places along the way. But I mean, I think the nightlife industry got kind of, maybe I'm biased, but it kind of got like hit the hardest when it came to COVID and stuff like that, because literally there's no way you can kind of take those businesses online like most of the other businesses
Right.
could. And like everybody's staying at home, like everybody doesn't want to go out anymore, they don't want to be in those social settings. So the nightlife industry really got like shook and rocked by COVID, like heavily, I think.
How long did it take for you guys to like come back before like everybody was back, you know?
Yeah. So like I was in a really great situation with the places that I'm playing at, where we had restrictions in places for clubs that couldn't trade, couldn't kind of like so clubs were like the last to kind of come back, but there was like a weird kind of rule with bars if you had seating and all that kind of stuff, because there was the no dancing rule and the capacity limits. These places that I played at were actually more classified as bars than clubs, so we were able to kind of like sneak around the rule a little bit, where the party bar that was still kind of like a nightclub was able to have implement these rules to be able to still kind of thrive. And I think we were one, if not in a handful of the places that still was like the spot to go to, even during COVID, like just after lockdown. Sorry, after we all kind of came out and started getting back into it. Even though you had to sit down, it was still, you could still kind of go and enjoy the kind of like club experience, which was like,
Right.
I think it was like a really beneficial thing to like, not just for the club but for the culture and the crowds as well, because people still got to kind of have that release and that outlet to go out in the club setting, and it wasn't so formal that it was like you had to sit there and just kind of like, you know, take whatever they gave you. But it was a slow kind of climb. I think it was over maybe like a year and a half where it kind of like came back, no dancing, then you could kind of like dance, and then kind of like full on getting back to like full on kind of like capacity limits and stuff like that. It was a slow burn, but it was I think it was okay. I think it was a good process.
Fuses said that to this day he's still kind of having that issue with people from that era that kind of grew up or started drinking over that time are still quarantined to their table, right? And they're having fun at their table, but they're not quite dancing.
Do you
And
notice
so
Yeah.
that at all?
I
yeah, I'm
do. I
curious.
think there was a huge influx of like, yeah, obviously people that were turning 18 and like, or the legal age it is to go out, they were kind of like conditioned to that that whole experience. But I would say, yeah, I mean, I've noticed that, but I've also noticed like the interactions that I have with some of the younger people that don't really know how to like talk to somebody properly, or like don't really know how to like request a song, or don't really know how to read the vibe that's going on. Like I'm you know, I'm playing out some banging
The
tunes at
phone.
midnight, and somebody wants like Afro beats, or they want like a Summer Walker tune, and I'm just like trying to explain, hey, like that doesn't really work right now, and they're just like, oh, but why not? Because like maybe their Spotify playlist when they're at home kind of worked out. Yeah, I kind of just have to be like, uh, you know, read the
Yeah.
room a little bit, like you know, yeah, yeah,
Hit the
exactly,
Bad Bunnies.
I do, yeah, I do. I'm not heaps into Latin music, but I have a little kind of like a little section that I go to just to keep those people happy. Because
You get
man, the Latinos can be a vengeful bunch.
That's
Can be
a
very
good way of
spiteful.
saying it.
Yeah.
there was this meme that was going around that I gotta find it, but it was basically like it was a crack and it said one Latin request, and then it was about the flood was about to happen. You know, if you let
Yeah.
any if you just took that one request, like you were about to just get just destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what it's like, to be honest. I mean, you got to keep the people happy, but only to a certain extent, where you don't want to start to alienate the rest of the people, because I find that like you will get people that are loving the stuff that's in the charts, the Latin stuff, the Bad Bunny and all that kind of stuff. But like, man, once you get going down that road, it's like we're trying to
Yeah,
please everybody. You can't just zero in on the niche stuff.
right.
So
Yeah, I noticed that too, what you're saying in terms of like they just don't know how to communicate too, and they just don't understand. And I think that's some of the just young people and the culture and the
yeah,
instantaneousness of just what our world is today. Everything's so instant. I want this, I want it
hmm
now,
yeah,
do it now. You
exactly,
know,
yeah,
that
yeah.
it just kind of is that way on it anymore, unfortunately. But I've also, you know, and you, me, Drew, all of us here have been DJing for a while, so we kind of know what it once used to be, and it's like it's just changing, and we're getting older, and I
Yeah.
don't want to become that guy that's like the back of my day, you know, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you know, but
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I
I
get
try
that.
to, yeah,
I think, yeah, you're all right with that whole instant kind of gratification stuff. It's like, I think it might not only be COVID, but it's also like kind of that the technology route where like everybody has their phones and they're ready to just like show you something off Spotify. And it's like, hey, I don't know if you get what's going on here, but like I had to kind of like build this set and you're kind of just coming up and being like, play this Spotify song. You know, I get a lot of people just saying as well, like, do you have this song? And they're showing me on Spotify and I'm like, well, no. And they're like, well, can you play it off my phone or can you like download it or something? And it's like, I don't even know what that song is. Like, what if it's just like racial slurs or something? I don't even know like what, they don't really get the dynamic of what's happening. Like I have to like I actually have to put preparation into the songs that I'm playing, even though they might seem on the surface level like just stuff that you hear all the time, but there's a reason for that. And
No, the DJ is the bouncer to the jukebox. That's always what
exactly.
I've joked about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
no, oh, okay, I'll take your quarter. No, fuck your quarter. You know, it's
Yeah.
the whole time you're like,
You have to be like that
you know,
gatekeeper. You have to like
Yeah.
figure out like, is this going to ruin the night or is it going to like elevate the night to another level? It's a very risky like spot to be in.
Yeah,
You have to make those decisions on the fly. It's very, very intense.
they don't get it. It's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They don't get that you've just spent all day prepping the set and you know, you're like, look, I found all these cool ways to play these songs for you guys.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, fuck that. I just want to hear my song and play it now.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Once they grow up, they get a little bit older. They'll be all right. They'll be like, oh, that's right. I got to shut my goddamn pie hole and I got to just go with what's already happening. But
Yeah.
you know,
it's always the best. It's always so satisfying when you get a requester that comes up though, and they're like, do this. And you're like, yeah. And then you explain to them and then they're kind of cool. And then later they come up. It doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, and when it does, it's great. They'll come up and be like, you know, it was right. You were right. And everything else you did was great. Like, you know, that they kind of like rethought in their head what they asked for. And then they're like,
Yeah.
you do it better. You do it better than I could. It's like, yeah, well,
yeah,
that's the
there's
best.
so many. I mean, I got like just from hearing you say that, two things came on my mind. One was a couple of weeks ago. I had a person come up and say, "Hey, can you play?" I can't remember what they said. I think they just said like, "Can you play like something good, or can you play like this or that?" I don't know, whatever they said. And I responded. I kind of asked them to elaborate on what they were saying, and they didn't really think much further than that. And then they ended up just saying, oh, I don't know, you just do whatever you want to do. And I was like, that's what I've been doing for the last hour. That's literally my job. So you're telling me to just do what I'm doing. And I'm like, we didn't even need to have this interaction. Like, you've just basically told me to keep going and you're doing a good job. And yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing anyway. But I appreciate it. I appreciate the moral support. And then there was another time, actually. Sorry, I'll just quickly tell this one.
yeah.
I had like a full dance floor going, and there was this one girl that was just relentless about being like, she didn't even want a song. She just kind of like wasn't vibing with what I was playing. And then she was kind of looking at me from across the dance floor being like giving me these like looks and stuff. And I was just like, what are you talking about? So I got her to come up and I was like, what do you want? And she's like, can you play something we can dance to? And I'm like, have you looked at the crowd? Like, everybody's dancing. I don't know what's going on with you. And then because I said that to her, she must have like got offended. And so she started like, she went back to across the dance floor and was just like throwing me the finger and being like doing these ones and like just ragging on me for like what seemed like hours on end. And then by the end of the night, she came up and she was like, actually, I want to apologize. Like, you're a really good DJ. Like, you actually did a good job. Can I ask for your details so you can DJ my party? And I said, look, I don't really want to DJ your party if you're going to treat me like that. Like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to be like that. And then she absolutely went off and she just like switched. And I'm like, okay, this person has problems. Like, I can't really, nothing I do or say can like really have an effect on that. So I think at the end of the day, sometimes it's just like people are going to do whatever they want to do and there's nothing you can do about it.
Somebody like that, I would never give my information to, out of
No.
fear that they would they're trying to be nice because I pissed, because they want me to give my information, but then they're gonna
Yeah.
go and just rip me a new one online.
Oh, probably, yeah, 100%, yeah. I dodged the bullet with that one.
I hate that girl, and I never even met her.
Yeah, she's still out there somewhere. You never know. Like, you guys come to Australia, be careful.
She's probably making some poor guy's life miserable right now too.
Yeah.
Probably what she's out here doing.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
But one of the things we like to ask, we ask everybody. This is a big one because this is episode 50. This is going to be our 50th episode. We've been almost doing this for a year now,
Almost.
which is pretty crazy.
yeah.
But we like to add, and we're going to make a t-shirt from this, the answer. And it is, what is your favorite your best one word insult that's not a cuss word? So an insult that is not a cuss word. Like we've had clown.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing just from being Australia, it's probably a regular name, right? And to us, it's just gonna sound, like a regular girl.
I mean, oh man, that's hard. One word as well is very hard. I'd have to think about it because the thing about it is I definitely run through a lot of this stuff when I'm out and when I'm in the moment and when it's all happening, and it's kind of like you put on the spot and you got to come up with something. But man, something about being at home and not being in that environment is really making me struggle for that kind of like that inspiration.
Think about that girl.
Damn.
And when she was going like this and flicking you off, what would you have said to her? What would you have called her? In a nice way.
I mean, she was basically a Karen. That is the thing about her. She was a Karen.
I don't think have we got that? But my mom's name's Karen.
My mom's name is Karen.
Yeah, that's right. We both of our mom's name's Karen. That's okay
So,
though.
So I know a popular term over there is bloke, right? Was that
yeah, but it can't really. It doesn't really. It can't be really. Yeah, but in a sense, bloke, I don't think really can be flipped around to be kind of like in that negative way. It's usually more endearing, and it's a lot more like. Am I allowed to swear on this? Or you gonna
yeah.
So obviously we say cunt a lot, and that's a big thing because it's like over there. I think it's a lot worse than it is here, and it can be totally endearing, but it can also be like something that you yell at someone when they're being an idiot. So unfortunately, I would probably use that one first.
I got a funny story about the word cunt that you'll appreciate. So
yeah, bring it.
All right. So I like wrestling, and me and one of my best friends here, we've gone to quite a few wrestling matches. Well, in 2018, we went to WrestleMania, and it was in Orlando, and they were like advertising on the screen that night. There was 80,000 people there from like 56 different countries. Well, earlier that day, I'm just saying that so it gives people listening an idea of how really big that event is. Earlier that day, we ran into this guy we were at like Disney or at one of the parks. And he was an Australian guy, and like we became like friends with him in a matter of like 15 minutes. And then we saw him like everywhere for the next couple days. So like we were drinking with him, bought him some shots. Well, the following next year, we're at WrestleMania in New Orleans, and this guy's there. And my friend Murph just yells across the street. This guy hasn't seen us yet. And he's like, "Hey, it's that fucking Aussie cunt," like yells it at the top of the lungs. And the guy like turns around and like gives us a negative. And then he realizes it's us, and he like runs over and like gives him a hug.
Yeah, it instantly, awesome. When you know the person, it instantly turns from something that you can be yelling at someone into like your best mate. Like that's the great thing about it. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty funny.
I think I just thought of something I called someone one time because they kept bumping on like the table that I was playing on, and I just grabbed him and I said, "Mate, stop being a fucking pelican," like obviously the bird, because I didn't want to start any I didn't want it to raise to that level. I didn't want it to go to that extra level where he was gonna like punch me, but I wanted him to be a little bit like know where I'm coming from. So I mean, you got to kind of call him a bird sometimes, maybe like a galah or a pelican. It's usually like a good go-to. It's not too offensive, but it gets the point across.
That's it. It's a pelican. That's your word.
Oh my God. It's so amazing. I love it.
Bro, stop being a pelican. You're everywhere right now.
Pelican.
Yeah,
It's it's almost like the same as like a pigeon, right? It's like the rat of
that
the
is true.
bird.
Yeah, it is true. Except the difference with the pelican is they're obviously a lot bigger, and they're obviously a lot more kind of like, they got that kind of dumbness about them. Like if you see a pigeon doing something, you're kind of like, oh, that's what it's going to do. It's a rat with wings. But if you see a pelican, it's just kind of like walking around with a huge beak and just like kind of getting in everyone's way. It's it drives the point home, I think.
I love it.
So one last question we have from the rapid fires for you is, and this is a question I always like to ask DJs. If you had to give your younger self getting into DJing any advice, what would you now give your younger self? What advice would you give your younger self?
I think something that's always stuck out in my mind is start producing a lot earlier, because I found that when I first got into DJing, when you first really just get into it, you don't really understand the potential that you can have and how far you can go and how far things can take you. You kind of just like in it for the fun. You're just vibing. You're just doing whatever. And for me, I felt like I did everything right in the sense of getting gigs and getting booked as a DJ and playing out music and doing shows like that. Just on the local sense, that I really didn't think about trying to put myself up on that higher pedestal, which a production can take you to. I think it might be more so in Australia. I think a lot of Aussie artists that have broken out have done a lot of production, like Hayden James and Golden Features and like What So Not and all that stuff. In fact, actually, those three guys were at the club DJing when I started. They were like on the kind of like in the headlining room when I was just kind of coming up. And I think I didn't really recognize how much production could like elevate you to that level and to that status where it could start building a brand and start getting you booked for better gigs and stuff like that. So I would always say that like I probably should have started producing a lot earlier. I only just started like 3 years ago, like doing it more intense and more. And just elevating my gigs to a better level where I can play my own stuff out and I can have that satisfaction of playing a mashup that I made or playing an edit or playing like a remix, or very, very sparingly an original. I can't really play out originals. People don't want to hear that stuff. But if I can get a mashup out that I made, then I'm happy, and it's I'm winning on that front. So the production is definitely something.
So I only really know you from the Zillionaire brand, and you mentioned that you have other ones. Do you make a lot of hip hop stuff as well, or it's kind of just on the Zillionaire tip?
Yeah, I make a bit of hip hop. Hip hop is a lot harder to make, in my opinion, like making beats and stuff. But just that's because I'm not really from that kind of beat, cooking up the beat area. Like house music just makes a lot more sense to me. I do like obviously making like trap and future bass and stuff, like a lot more melodic stuff that just comes a lot more naturally to me. But yeah, I've done a lot of hip hop. I do have another alias where I make hip hop mashups and remixes too. But it just obviously hasn't caught on as much as the housey kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
What's that alias? Just curious.
So it's so when I first started out DJing, I was Dollar Bear, and then I was making future bass and trap under Dollar Bear, and then I thought I got to keep that branded as that, and then I changed my DJ name to Dollar Cub, which is like obviously a cub is a baby bear, so it's like that for the DJing stuff. But then things started to get a bit too confusing, and so I've kind of like abandoned it a bit, and I've just stuck with Dollar Bear, but I still produce under that. So Dollar Bear is the future bass, Dollar Cub is the hip hop and commercial stuff, and then Zillionaire is obviously the housey stuff. So yeah, Dollar Cub is the main kind of hip hop.
I gotta give you props, man, because you have good taste for names, man. You come up with some good names, dude. I like all the names you said. I'm a fan, dude. Yeah.
I feel like that's like a main part of like what you want. You want a catchy name, because even if somebody can't see you play, or like maybe they have seen you play, as soon as you say that name, you want it to be something memorable and something maybe they even get wrong on the first time saying it. I've had to so many times people say like, "What's your DJ name?" I'm like, Dollar Bear, and they're like, collar hair, and I'm like, no, like the currency and the animal, Dollar Bear, like that's just down like that. But yeah, I think that's like a good selling point and a good like something to stick in people's minds.
You need the shirt that says Dollar Bear and then underneath it, it's like in parentheses, real small. It's like currency plus animal.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. Merch idea. Getting the merch
Yeah.
hooked up. That's good. Yeah, I'm down.
We got a merch store coming 2025 for everybody listening still.
Oh hell yeah!
Our merch store was supposed to be live like 36 episodes ago,
man.
but you know, it's all right. We're
It's a work
getting
in
there. We're
progress.
getting there.
Yeah. You're still constructing the website, right? Like you gotta make sure it's a good website. So you gotta
with
doing all the back end.
you know, with the supply chain shortage and you know shipping you know hiatus on computer chip shortage and all that, we really just haven't had the computer chip shortage has really messed with our ability to start this supply chain. I don't know, Drew. What do you think? It's that computer chip shortage, right?
It's definitely just life. Is what I would say. Life shortage. It's, you got to have a little bit of time for yourself, but at the same time, you got to try and do 18 projects or do a passion project like a podcast, So
yeah,
exactly.
There's other things that make me money.
My girlfriend's mad at me because after this episode, I think I'm going to go have a drink somewhere tonight because I just need like a night. Sometimes I just like to go be away, but out. Like I just want to do my thing. And like I was just traveling, so we haven't spent much time together recently. And she's all sad because I'm here and it's 8:00 and we're recording, or 9:00 now, recording the podcast, and I'm not sitting on the couch watching her favorite show with her or something like that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I gotta fucking watch The Bachelor in Paradise or some shit.
You got to get that balance right, man. You got to get, it's
totally.
Tough. It's very tough.
There's no time for Bachelor in Paradise, bro. Stop.
There's never a time for Bachelor in Paradise. That
was never an option.
She was cooking today, and I was sitting there. She was like, "Can I turn the TV on?" Because I was just literally laying on the couch, like staring up at the ceiling. I had a long day today, and she turns on The Bachelor. And I'm like, that's cool. I don't care. Like, you're cooking. You can watch whatever show you want. And like 10 minutes into it, I'm like, this is the worst fucking show ever. Like, just there is, it is the worst show. And she's like, it's entertaining. And I'm like, I get that you see it. It's entertaining, but it's just reality TV. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's trash. Yeah.
It's so trash. I'm like, I don't know how. There are people. She understands that it's fake, right? And it's like scripted reality TV. And I think that's fine because she understands that as she watches it, and she takes it for the entertainment value. But I'm like, how? I cannot. It doesn't. I don't know.
You'd rather be staring at the ceiling than watching that, which is a big statement.
You're not wrong, though.
Yeah,
watching paint dry.
Yeah.
No, I'm watching paint that's dry. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to it, one of the things we like to talk about, I'm going to play another little segment video here.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll get talking about it. So here we go.
It's now time for music production. Let's twist some knobs.
That was another extremely high quality, high budget video there.
Now you're putting all your time into those open.
Yeah, a lot of time goes into those. A lot of time.
Yeah.
We have a lot of guys that listen to the show that are, I don't want to say newbies, but we have guys that have been DJing forever that listen to the show. They haven't jumped into production, but they want to. What would be some tips that you would tell guys that want to start producing, or what advice would you give them?
I think a big help has been YouTube videos. There's been, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that have just probably seen ads where people are advertising like music production courses and all this kind of stuff that you can pay for, and like a masterclass and all that kind of stuff, which can be good. I don't know if I don't think I've bought into any of that stuff, but what people don't realize is, like, a lot of people don't realize actually, is YouTube is such a great resource for free, passionate producers that are just putting out valuable content, which it's basically how I can do everything that I can do today. Like I don't want to say I've taken that free route, but like money hasn't always been flush. And like if you don't have money, you really don't have an excuse, because as long as you've got an internet connection, you can watch these videos and you can figure out how to do things on your own. I mean, you just got to have that motivation and that passion and that drive to keep up the consistency. It's just the same with DJing. Like if you stop DJing for a long time, you're probably going to fall behind a little bit. You're going to fall out with what's relevant. You're going to like forget how to filter something out, echo something out. I don't know, but you got to keep up that consistency. Using YouTube as a great free resource, just messing around. Like don't even have these reservations about starting something new, because I don't know if people know this, but you're going to be terrible when you first start. You're going to be really bad, but starting is one of the biggest steps and one of the key.
Do you have a favorite YouTuber that you watch that maybe you want to just shout out? Somebody that
the thing is, I haven't watched consistently one the whole time. That's the thing about it, is you go and you find like what works for you, or what you're interested in, or what you're really wanting to figure out and learn, which is a big thing about it. There was a few that I was watching on a consistent basis that was back, you know, like as I said, started 3 years ago, a couple of years back, where I was like watching a lot more often. And it's probably bad that I don't remember their names. I probably should shout them out. But I mean, I would say just like picking and choosing, that's another great thing about it. YouTube, you're not locked into one course where they tell you everything in that moment that might not be useful to you, might not be valuable. So getting on YouTube, like finding out, like just doing research. I mean, even to do mashups, like I didn't realize that I was like, when I first started making mashups as well, which is probably considerably a lot easier than producing something from scratch. You're using stuff that already exists, but even just with like finessing a mashup to take it to that next level, to figure out what kind of like stock plugins on Ableton I could be using to like make it sound just that little bit better, like getting the levels right and all that kind of stuff. I saw a YouTube video and that changed the whole game for me. And now I'm just like pumping out mashups, keeping them consistent, keeping them sounding good. And that was really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, if you have a question within production or Ableton or whatever you're using, I just go on YouTube and search the question. I just search like how to do this Ableton, and boom, you're going to find something. Or you might not find the exact thing you're looking for, but you might find something that'll lead you to the answer you're looking for.
100%, yeah. And like, even though I don't know all of their names, I got to give a shout out to these guys that are putting out that free content and that are like really helping. Like they got that passion to like elevate the community, and they're really like helping people out like me. And although I guess the appeal of buying into those courses is you've got the satisfaction of like paying the money and like doing it the honorable way. But like these guys that are putting out the free content, they're obviously doing it because they enjoy it, but also they're getting like, you know, subscribers. They've got like, sometimes they sell their own plugins and their own stuff, and they got ways of going about it. But just because you aren't paying someone money to learn something doesn't mean you're doing it the wrong way. And I think that's what people need to get over a little bit.
Yeah, dude, no one's paying us to do this podcast, and people are still getting shit out of it.
Yeah, 100%. That's right.
Yeah, in fact, it's probably cost us money to do this. Well, it certainly has cost us money, but you know.
Exactly, yeah.
So
that's
what
how
happens?
You know you're passionate is you're paying, you're putting in the money, which means you're passionate.
Yeah, new piece of gear comes out, or somebody comes on and tells us about something on the podcast, and then we go out and buy it, and it costs us even more money.
Well,
and that website just keeps getting pushed back and back and back.
Well, I actually have a question here that leads into this. One of the things we were going to say with your music production and with everything you're doing, where are you digging for your inspiration? One of my favorite mashups that you made is it's the Head and the Heart versus the Me and My Toothbrush. I love that one. I play it. It's just funky, new disco-y. I just like that version better than any of the versions of that song.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess what happens is a lot of the inspiration comes from hearing the tune, hearing the instrumental part of the tune that I use. So what I actually do is I obviously listen to a lot of music, but I also go like kind of digging for stuff that is either an instrumental or close to an instrumental that doesn't have too much singing or vocals on it. And that is the starting point. When you hear that and you're like, this tune is solid on its own, pretty solid on its own, pretty great. But I can just add something extra to that and make it like a lot more user friendly, a lot more kind of like able to be brought to the masses. Because if you played that me and my toothbrush part, it would be cool, but a lot of people probably wouldn't gel with it, and they probably wouldn't care or know about it. So then what I do is I analyze all the instrumentals in Record Box and get like the key and all that kind of stuff, and then I go through my acapella folder, which is divided up into the key of each of those acapellas, and then I find that I usually mess around with a few of them on that and see which one sounds the best. Generally, it's either figuring out which one sounds the best after going through a few, or finding out what is needed in my set. So what there's a hole for, what there's a want for, like, you know, because the original Head and Heart is cool, but you can't really play it sometimes at some of the less clubbier.
It's funky. And actually, you kind of inspired me on my last trip, and I don't know if this is how you're digging, but I started a new type of digging, and I'm doing Serato digging. So on my last flight, I had a 5-hour flight, and basically I just saved offline all of my just all of the new house shit. I was like tropical house bangers, like all of their playlists they've already made. I was just like offline, and then on the plane I would just listen to it. I'd be like, save it to this playlist, save it to this playlist. And I had like 3 or 4 playlists that was like, oh, this would be a good drop, this would be good for this club, this would be good for this. So it was like, that was how I'm digging now, is just offline Serato digging. I don't know if that is something you do, or if you already have some of these tracks that you're just trying to place to it. But you know, I'm always looking for new shit, you know, to make funky.
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely an element of that. It's not the biggest part of it, but I have done that before. I know exactly what you're talking about. Just finding stuff that already exists in your playlist or in your sets or in your library, and it's just not at 100, not where it could be. And it's like, what can make this better? What can I try and do to try and figure out a way to bring it back into my sets, like incorporate it a bit more? Yeah, I definitely have done that, like where you get inspiration and stuff from things you already have. Definitely.
Yeah, totally. Fuse, we got any other segments, or is there any other music production stuff you want to mention? What I would love to hear from you is maybe top 5 people you're digging right now. Like me and my toothbrush, I had stuff of theirs in my set before, but I was kind of overlooking them, and then I grabbed that one from you, and I was like, oh shit, I need to pay attention to them a little bit more. So I don't know if there's like an artist, like a couple artists that you're kind of pay attention to. And it doesn't have to be under the Zillionaire. It could be under, you know, whatever you want.
We'll give you a little more time. I'll play this segment video real quick. We'll roll into it.
Hello, this is Bond. James Bond. Joanne Fuse, I think it's about time we talk about music. Personally, I like to listen to grown and sexy smooth jazz with my favorite girl, Pussy Galore. Now make me a cold martini, shaken, not stirred, and break down your top music.
All right.
Sweet.
High budget video.
So good. So good.
Who needs a website when you got high budget like that?
Exactly.
I'm calling in favors from celebs, man. What do you guys want?
Dead celebs at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say beyond the grave.
All right, so we're talking music, and we're just saying, like, what are who are your top people right now?
I have to say, like, as much as I'm conflicted about this guy, Joel Corry is putting out some really, really good music. Just like instrumental wise, like, I think I probably won't play too many of his originals. Like, obviously the earlier stuff, Sorry and Lonely, is what people really do enjoy, and obviously Head and Heart. But I find that, like, if Joel Corry brings out a new track and like the instrumental's strong, people probably won't mind you chucking like a more commercially known a cappella over the top of that and bringing something new to the club set. His recent song wasn't really too memorable in my opinion, but just grabbed the instrumental and chucked, like a better a cappella over the top, and now it's like a better song in my opinion in the sets.
Can I give you props? And I already said this to you, but over Joel Corry, his name's so forgettable. Like every time I forget who he is, it pisses me off. But Zillionaire, I remember instantly, right? And
good. I'm glad.
Is Crush City too. So Joel Corry he needs to step up his marketing game. Obviously,
he does. If he needs to hit me up, I'll come up with a name for him. But he's gonna have to let me ghost produce for him, and then maybe
there it is. There you go, Joel.
Yeah.
He listens, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, sweet. Hit me up,
Big
Joel.
fan.
I think another big one. Do you guys know Fisher from the show?
Oh yeah,
Obviously,
definitely.
yeah, like his tech house. Yeah, just like because people like Aussies over here just love like requesting Fisher to the point where it's like, okay, guys, calm down. It's not like, you know,
Is
it's
it
not
like
the
the Bad
best.
Bunny? Do you get the Bad Bunny that we get for Fisher?
Yeah,
The
so
phone?
I would say the Bad Bunny equivalent of in Australia right now is "Gimme Gimme Gimme" by ABBA.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is the absolute like the headache. It's my head. It's my current headache, and I'm actually getting a bit of like PTSD at anytime anyone outside of my job talks about ABBA. I start to be like, no, I can't
ABBA
do
was
it.
big. ABBA was big in Ireland. It was crazy. The others,
Yeah,
so obviously everybody, I feel everybody everywhere is playing "Gimme Gimme," right? But the one that they played there, which blew my mind and people went nuts to, and I don't think I could play it here, and people they wouldn't give a shit. But was the Vula Vu? Remember
Voulez-Vous.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you play that
yeah.
one?
Yeah, that's more. I don't play it in like the main kind of club sets. More at the
Yeah.
bar and stuff like that. But it's funny at the bar gig. I think just after COVID, when everybody had to kind of sit down, everybody was like requesting "Gimme Gimme," and when you'd play it, everyone would just start like getting up on their seats and like getting up on the tables and stuff at this one particular bar, and it was just getting so out of hand that the managers had to say, "Look, guys, you can't play that song anymore. Like you have to stop." And I was happy about that because I kind of don't really like that response, because if you get that energy, it's really hard to match that again with anything you do after. And although I'm there to make people dance, or well, make people have a good time, there's a time and a place for that kind of stuff, because it's like kind of the easy way out. And even people that are requesting it come up and they usually preface with, everybody's going to love if you play ABBA, and I'm usually like, yeah, that's obvious. It's not hard to work out. Like it's going to happen. It's an easy point. But
No Dancing
yeah,
Queen,
play
just
Dancing
gimme
Queen.
gimme.
Yeah. I actually prefer Dancing Queen because it's a cool, when I'm playing the hip hop pop kind of vibe, it's a cool kind of like Easter egg to kind of like throw in there to kind of like get out of that monotonous kind of like line that you're playing, and then you can kind of like transition more into a pop kind of set,
Right.
like when you do a leapers and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I got yeah, different techniques for different crowds, but I prefer Dancing Queen.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Voulez-Vous, but I think me and Fuse were talking about this offline, or I was talking with somebody, but it was just that I think a lot of the moms and a lot of the girls watched the movie.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of it's like the new Grease, really, right? It's
100%.
kind of what
Yeah,
it is.
definitely.
And so I think it translates for all that.
I had one girl come up, and I still don't know to this day whether she was joking or not, but she said, "Can you play?" I was playing like a theme night. It was actually like a frat Americana frat party kind of themed night,
Yeah.
and obviously I try to stick to that as much as possible. And just earlier on in the night, some girl was like, "Can you play ABBA?" And I was like, well, that's not really like what theme I'm trying to do. Maybe I can play it later on. And she's like, can you play Mamma Mia? And I was like, oh, I don't have that particular song. And then she's like, well, can't you just play the movie? And I was like, what? Like, how? If I don't have the song, how am I going to have the movie? And how can I play the movie? It's visual, not, or I don't know. It was definitely put me off for a couple of seconds, threw me off.
Similar but different is I was DJing. Oh, man, I don't want to say this wrong, but I want to say it was like in India, where a lot of the dances are from the movies, right? Is that right?
Oh yeah, well, like Bollywood.
Yeah, it was Bollywood. It was a Bollywood style thing, and they hadn't given me anything, but they said that they were, and they showed up with 8 DVDs of stuff, with DVDs, right? Not actual CDs, and this was. Praise the Lord. It was like back when I did still have like a MacBook that had a drive. And so I was ripping them to play them. But that's all I got was 8 DVDs. I was like, thanks.
Man, they're lucky that they had you to do that, because if they had done that to me, I would have just said, it's not happening. It's not going to happen.
I mean, this was a long time ago, but still, it was pretty crazy. Like, but that's what reminds me of, a movie thing. It's like, oh fuck.
Now I'm
I love
waiting. I'm
I love
waiting
this
for
mentality. Like, someone comes up to the DJ and is like, "I'm gonna say something to him," and they're just gonna have to unpack that and deal with. They're gonna have to figure out how to do it. Like, I literally had a girl one time say, "I don't know, you figure it out. You're the DJ," and I'm like, "But that doesn't mean that I can just like do everything. I'm still restricted by the boundaries of reality. Like, I can't."
We're gonna have
I
to
can't
start
work
doing
out.
that. We're gonna have to start doing that in life. We just go up to like the food restaurant place, and we're just like, I'd like to film a movie. Can you teach me how? And
Yeah,
they're just
yeah,
like, what the
yeah.
fuck?
Hey, I'm just gonna go up
Oh,
to the
man.
bank teller and be like, "Hey, there's not $1 million in my account, but can you just move some in there from another account?"
Yeah. And when they say
But
no, you
what
go,
I'm
"Well, come on, can't you do it? Like, work it
Yeah,
out."
yeah. You're like, can you
Surely.
play it off YouTube? Can you put the $1 million from YouTube inside of that?
Yeah.
what I'm really
Elon
looking
Musk has $1
forward
million.
to. I'm looking forward to somebody photoshopping Drew holding a DVD player, putting DVDs into it with speakers next to him. That's what I'm really
Oh,
looking
yeah.
forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Now that you said it, it's definitely coming.
It's like Warren with the cheese grater, except for it's Drew with the DVD player.
Oh my god. I love it.
So, all right, but
Any-
getting back, yeah,
yeah,
is there
you've only
any other
mentioned one.
tracks?
You mentioned one, and then we totally we jumped on your stuff. Is there anybody else that you're loving, or any other songs or artists?
Oh, he mentioned Joe Corey and Fisher, so we got two.
Yeah.
Okay, we got two.
Yeah, there
Okay.
is one more, I guess. Like, a Purple Disco Machine is just like the man when it comes to new disco, when it
Yeah.
comes to like that stuff. I mean, he's cornered the market on that stuff. I mean, there are people kind of coming up now that are kind of copying that style, which is good. So it's not, you're not always just playing Purple Disco Machine, but he's really, yeah, he's championing that sound,
Yeah.
the new disco kind of sound.
I love that. I'd like to ask, we kind of already alluded to this, but maybe I'd like to tell some of the people that are listening your favorite mashups or blends that people should download off any sites or whatever.
Yeah, of mine, or just of anybody in general?
Yours.
On mine, okay. I mean, so I'm working on stuff pretty much all the time. I got new stuff coming out. Actually dropping some more, probably another mashup pack very soon. But from what's already out, I would say, like, I think some of the stuff I like more is some of the stuff that's not as commercially available. I think the stuff that's harder to find like good versions of. I've got like a mashup I did of The Weeknd, like The Hills, with a Bingo Players track from my last mashup pack, because I get a lot of requests for The Weeknd, and I also specifically get requests for The Hills. But obviously, there's the energy and the style of that song. You can't really always incorporate it into sets. So being able to put it onto like a housey tune, like bringing that beat, bringing that energy, really kind of elevates it, makes it one of my more favorite ones, as opposed to getting something that's already a house a cappella and chucking it on another house track. It's not a cop out, but it is easier, and it's just like sometimes you just prefer the original. It's not always that the winner, but the winners are generally stuff that's not classically like a house tune. I did like what else I got, like the Post Malone Doja Cat song, the new "I Like You" song or whatever. Put it over Oliver
I played that
Heldens
the other night.
beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. So it's like good, because sometimes you'll be playing the house, like you'll be playing a house set, and you'll get like a request for hip hop, and although nothing obviously beats the real hip hop standard, chucking that in kind of just does satisfy some people's needs, because they just want to hear that vocal, or they want to hear that kind of that artist.
I think that version actually made it better. The original's so slow. I
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
kept yours, and I think I deleted all the other ones. I liked yours the best. It was really
Yeah,
good.
sweet. That's good. I'm glad. That's the goal as well. Usually is to make a song. I mean, I love Post Malone. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, trying to play that one out, the original out can be tough, and it cannot get as good a reception as like kind of a more upbeat, faster version.
Mentioning Post Malone, something that I would probably love to see you do is the Sunflower. I get so many freaking requests for Sunflower, and I tons and tons of requests for it. So that would be my request to you for
sure.
something.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'd love to see
That's
that.
what I like to hear, because the good feedback is being able to hear what other people need, and having the holes in their sets kind of fulfilled, and like figuring out, you know, where I can go differently from what I've already done. Because obviously I've got all these acapellas that I use already, and I'm always trying to look for new ones, but sometimes there's stuff that I just don't think of and that I can't, you know, always have at the front of my mind.
You mentioned DJs not wanting to share. I have no problem being vocal, so I will definitely be sending you some messages like, "Yo,
Oh
this
yeah,
will be fire,
for sure.
dude." So
For sure,
yeah,
bro. For sure.
I'll be sliding into your DMs, dude, because I love your shit, man. It's definitely crushing it.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. I will just say one more. Actually, I just remembered a mashup that really, really helps my set the most, and I probably play it the most out of all my mashups, just because of the setting that I'm in. Is the Taylor Swift Love Story mashup? I think I can't remember what I mashed up with, but I don't know what it is about. You know, I get a lot of Taylor Swift requests, obviously, but like trying to find like a really good, decent sounding Taylor Swift remix or mashup can be really tough.
Yeah.
Because it can be too, like, I think the one that went viral on TikTok was like a bounce, like a Melbourne bounce kind of one that was just like
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember
way
what
too
it's
kind of
Disco, their disco.
Yeah.
disco
Disco
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool and all, but like just doesn't fit sometimes the style that I'm playing when I want to play that particular song. Oh, sorry, not when I want to play the song, when I get the request for the song. But you know, you can't deny it. Sometimes it just it gets them going, and it's like, as much as I don't like this song, I like the vibe that it's creating, so I'll do it.
Yeah, I've given up on hating T Swift, and now I'm what I just did a wedding, and you know they want it was all over the place what they wanted, but the groom knew that his new bride loved Taylor Swift, so
Yeah.
every time he would ask me to play Taylor Swift, he'd be like, "Can you do a shout out for all the Swifties?" And I'm like, and it was just I was laughing so hard the whole time, but it definitely it was working. It was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do agree with Drew. I think a good sunflower one would be great. I did a sunflower bootleg a while back, I think like 2019, that I put up on DMS, but it's probably a little out of date sounding. You know how like certain stuff was just trendy, like it might have been a EDM sounding drop that was trendy at the time. So something like that, I think, like kind of funky, like some of your stuff would be awesome.
And that's the great thing about I guess doing these mashups, and I guess about like constantly updating the sound, is you're keeping it kind of fresh with what's either out right now or something that might have fallen through the cracks and is still cool but needs to be brought back and needs to have that kind of fresh perspective on it.
Yeah, we're doing disco and new disco now, but like, I mean, disco is bound to not be cool again. You know, I'm loving it right now, but you know,
I've always had a soft spot for new disco. I think it's just there was a trend. I don't know, there's something about it. Like, I'll even listen to it when I'm not DJing and when I'm not playing. Like, there's some really cool new disco and kind of funky stuff.
New disco is my favorite. I meant like disco is what I meant.
Oh, disco. Okay,
yeah. I was like, like disco. It died after what, 3 years, you know. So I'm thinking, hopefully it stays around. But I'm loving the vibe right now of people actually liking this stuff. So you know, I have a sister-in-law who's 27, 28. Anyways, she sent me a track. And I hit her up just asking her for some stuff, and I was like, oh, you know, blah blah blah. Anyways, she's like, oh, check out this new track, and it was Duck Sauce Anyways, which, you know, is already an old track, right?
Yeah,
but it's also a disco track, and I'm like, okay, you know, thank you, you know. But that being said, that disco house is really coming. Like, there was a lot of trailblazers that got overlooked that were trying to bring it back, but it is hot as fuck right now. So no, it's good.
Even that new song, I love that new "Afraid to Feel" by LF System. Even though it's not your classic disco, it does have that kind of like that disco vibe, and it's so cool how it like breaks down and goes slower and then comes back up to a fast housey beat. So I'm actually like interested to see where they go with it next, if they are just going to go straight back to house, or if they're going to have that kind of cooler,
you know,
disco-y sound.
I kind of feel that Daft Punk started this. A lot of if you watch some of those old things, if you watch some of the old videos on YouTube, Daft Punk says we had to bring it back to move it forward, and this is 2014. And I just think Daft Punk was always way ahead of the fucking game. And now all of a sudden
100%.
disco house is just boom, 10 years later, it's what it is. And so, shout out to Daft Punk.
Definitely. They're killing it. I love Daft Punk.
That's our pseudonym is the Dafts Punks, the Drew and Fuse Show Punks. So there it is.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
We just want to say, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. We really, really appreciate it. And we want to make sure before we just sign off here that you tell everybody where they can find your music, where they can find you on social media, all that good stuff.
Patreon, you got Patreon? Hit them with
I do have
everything.
Patreon. Yeah, so biggest place you can find me and all my stuff is SoundCloud. That's like my main focus. I've been building that, been chucking everything up on there. Everything that doesn't get copyright striked, I chuck up, and it's all got my links to my other socials, which I'm not as active on. Like I'm not really a Facebook guy. I got my Instagram and stuff. If anybody like has any ideas, like DM my Instagram. I'm always open to like trying to come up with new stuff. Or if you have like a hot lead on a studio a cappella that doesn't sound like trash, I'm down for that. Yeah, my Patreon is where I'm like showcasing all my main stuff, because I mean that Dropbox subscription costs money. Having subscriptions to music pools and stuff costs money, where I can find most of the stuff that I need. But just like funding, basically keeping the passion to keep outputting what I'm doing is like the Patreon, and having a good kind of little community on there too gives me good feedback. So it's everything is whatever the website /Heb Zillionaire, HEB with Zillionaire behind it, and that's where you can find all my stuff and link up. And yeah,
right on, dude. Hell yeah. Any last words? You're crushing it.
No,
I'm a huge fan, dude, and we're so grateful to have you on, dude. Seriously.
That's what I wanted. I mean, the reason why I was doing it is because I thought, it's good for me and my sets, but if I can start outputting it and like getting into other people's sets, then it's going to elevate, I guess what you're hearing being played out in clubs, and just a fresh like refresh on some of these tunes, but also like having some kind of like standard in the DJing world where like this stuff is sounding good. Everybody's like sharing, happy, like keeping everything fresh and is good to each other. And I also wanted to say I appreciate you guys bringing me on, because I've never done anything like this before, and I was keen to like see what it's like, get into the podcast world, just have a chat. And I do appreciate everybody's kind words and the fact that they're representing the mashups, and just really happy right now.
Stoked,
awesome,
dude.
Well, once again, we appreciate it. And if you guys aren't on his edits and mashups and remixes, go get some, because they're awesome. They're great. They fit, like he mentioned the whole episode, they fill some great holes in your set. Once again, if you guys aren't on direct music service, make sure you use the promo code Drew and Fuse Show, and it'll get you 30% off your first month of activation. Club Cannon, go check out Club Cannon if you're looking something to elevate the club, elevate your event, your wedding, whatever. Drew has them. We have them at the bars I work at. Photo booth, if you're in the market for a photo booth, make sure you check out the affiliate link below. Also, make sure you like the podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you're on Instagram, tag us. If you're listening to the show, we appreciate it. Tag Zillionaire. He'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's going to be it. That's going to be it for today. So until next time, see you guys later.
Peace.
Woo.